Just like with any medicine, misuse can have disastrous consequences, but a healthy dose can lead to great things. Hey everyone, my name's Christian Verstappen, and I have a lot to say about many things. I want to talk about the red pill. Many of you watching this will probably already know what the red pill is, but for those that don't, essentially it's this ideology and kind of way of thinking, if you will, that actually stems from the concept and metaphor used in the movie The Matrix, released in 1999. In the movie, the main character, Neo, is confronted with a choice of two options, where he can either take the blue pill, and everything is just the way he remembers it. He wakes up believing what he's experienced thus far is a dream, and he doesn't progress any further. Or he can take the red pill, in which he wakes up to see the reality of the world that he's living in and progress from there. Now, in the film, Neo, of course, takes the red pill, because, I mean, if he didn't, the movie wouldn't really continue, now would it? But there's a really interesting dichotomy, especially when you look at what this idea has kind of been turned into in modern day. At the end of the day, the idea of the red pill is really about knowledge. Neo took the pill that was hard to swallow to come to the realization that the world as he knew it wasn't reality. The idea of taking the red pill in real life is very much applied to this idea that everything you know or you think you know isn't actually the way it works. But you can wake up, you can take the red pill and see how things really are. Now, this is primarily used these days in regards to things like dating, pickup artistry, and really just specifically helping young men kind of become better men and be more attractive to, well, at least hetero women. I imagine some of these concepts can apply to people that aren't necessarily cis or hetero as well, but for the most part, this stuff is heavily geared toward a cis heteronormative perspective. Now, while that isn't necessarily a bad thing in and of itself, and I will be discussing the rest of things in this video using cis and hetero terminology because that's the majority of what this applies to. You see, the red pill, essentially, in terms of dating, really comes down to this idea that the way that you've been taught and socialized, either implicitly or explicitly, to believe that you are supposed to be a certain way to attract women, especially the kind of nice guy type of thing, the mentality that the nice guy gets the girl, you just gotta pour out your heart and your emotions, and, you'll succeed in love, is not reality. Now, I had my own experience with the red pill years ago, back when it was really not the red pill yet, and it was kind of still breaking off from the pickup artistry community, as it were. I developed my first crush when I was about 15 or 16, I think. I was a bit of a late bloomer in this regard. But when I developed this crush and the things that I was trying to do naturally weren't really working, I did all the things online, all the research I could. I did all the little tests about does she like you and how to tell, and eventually came down to these videos that were about how to get her to like you, how to text her, how to talk to her, all these different things. And what I noticed was there was a lot of manipulative tactics on display that I just wasn't about. There was very much this mentality kind of pushed of this be mean to keep her keen and things like that. And even back then I saw this and I realized I don't want any part of that. You see, if I wanted to attract a woman into my life, if I wanted the girl that I liked to like me, and this is all high school, so we're not even like men and women at this point, but you get what I mean. If I wanted to have a girl like me, I wanted her to like me for me, right? Well, that does make sense, and there are aspects of that and the notion of be yourself and things like that that are absolutely true, but there are also aspects of the red pill mentality that are good too. You see, the reality is there are certain things, certain platitudes that we and kind of society tells ourselves, especially young men, that just aren't true. I believed and very much followed the mentalities of just be yourself and there's someone out there for everyone and all that stuff. None of that's true. To an extent, it is important to do things like be authentic, but maybe yourself isn't actually that good. I mean, what if there are things about you, even, that maybe aren't so extreme, but you need to change? And that's where some aspects of the red pill mentality come in and actually benefit. There are really good things that it teaches, very basic things like practicing proper hygiene, cleaning your room, taking care of yourself, the importance of working out and developing a physique that you're proud of and that you can actually use to kind of defend yourself and others should push come to shove. The problem with red pill and why it's kind of become a bit of a laughingstock online is when you get into the essentializing elements of it. Concepts like all women are the same and no woman can be trusted and all women are basically, once they've had a certain amount of partners, romantic or sexual, they're just kind of damaged goods. Things like that, and this idea that she was never yours, it's your turn. All of this really playing into this really misogynistic, really women-hating mentality. And that's what a lot of it leads to. Hating women. It's ironic that a lot of people get into this stuff because they want to attract women, because they like women. And yet they end up learning the wrong kind of things in the wrong kind of ways, and they end up hating women. Not everybody does, but a lot of people do. There's something to be said as well with the bigotry, the homophobia, the transphobia, the misogyny, all of this that is very prevalent in a lot of the red pill community, the manosphere community, and things of that nature. While there are aspects of these things that are good, and I think that even things like men's rights are a valid concern, although I don't know if I'd say the community, as it were, typically goes about addressing them in the proper way. These are videos and discussions for another time, mind you, but I'm a big believer in not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And when it comes to red pill, while there are ideas and there are people that will just purport really horrible, horrible things, and even some things that aren't so horrible, but just kind of really into this mentality of like, oh, don't worry about women at all, where you'll literally have other YouTube channels where their whole thing will be talking about how terrible women are and how you need to stay away from them and focus on your life without women and all this stuff, and then all of their videos are just stories about women. It's crazy, to be honest with you. As with anything, though, it's complicated. While there is benefit to learning what kind of things do actually attract the opposite sex, and what kind of things you can do differently to enhance things like your SMV, which stands for sexual market value, things of that nature, there's also, like I said, the kind of bigotry, the essentialization, all of this stuff that's really toxic, as well as, speaking of even just the word toxic, toxic masculinity, which is very much kind of prevalent in a lot of red pill spaces as well. And I will definitely do a video delving into what toxic masculinity is and how you can actually kind of combat that with positive masculinity. But for the sake of this video, essentially it just comes down to traits that are typically associated with being manly, being pushed on men in a very negative and harmful way. Things like men don't cry. It's very, very easy example with that. But like I said, a video for another time. Now, with all of this in mind, there's the blue pill and there's the red pill. There's another pill, though, that is very damaging, very deadly. And I say that because it can literally lead to death. It has been described by people online as suey fuel. In other words, things that make them feel like life isn't even worth living. This is the black pill. black pill and inceldom often are related, at least tangentially, to the red pill. But those are things that I'll be discussing definitely at another time. With all of that said, the red pill does have its benefits, and as long as you stay away from the stuff that's kind of the more damaging, women-hating, self-hating even, stuff about red pill, and embrace the positives that are with it, embrace the genuine good teachings and good messages, you'll be just fine. Just, only take the prescribed dose. Don't OD on it. But, as always, these are just my thoughts. Please, let me know what yours are in the comments down below. Subscribe and ring the bell to stay up to date. Leave a like if you like, and if not, I hope you find something to do like. I know this can be a bit of a touchy issue for some people, so I do genuinely ask that you guys be kind and take care of each other in the comments. But that's all for me, so later guys. Peace and love.